on for too long since we've got so much to go on about.
Hello out there in Internet Land. This is episode 12 of the 2023 season of the F1 Chat. Apparently I am Phil Lamington. I don't feel much like it because I'm getting over a bug, but I am Phil Lamington. Seated to my left is a man who, he doesn't sound much better than me. That's JB. JB, how are you?
Yeah, fantastic. As you can hear.
Riveting.
I can no longer breathe through my nose, but that's alright. Remember the last podcast when I was the only healthy one? Well,
No, you're the only sick one last time, weren't you?
No, I was the only healthy one.
Yeah, he's the only healthy one now.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now
you're
I've-
the healthy one.
Yeah.
Now I've dragged Phil down and now we're good.
Oh. No comment.
As long as you just keep it over there.
That's it.
I'm getting over it. Speaking of getting over it, sitting to my right is Longhorn, the only healthy man in the room.
It's a me.
It's a me, Monica. Right, so we just finished watching the Austrian F1, which was race 9 of this season. They say it's race 10, but I kind of think Imola doesn't count.
Yeah, Imola wasn't a race.
Yeah, you can't count anything.
Yeah.
From that.
So we just finished watching Austria. But this week we're going to mix up the formula a little bit. We're going to start off with the sprint race, which JB's going to babble on about.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. All right, F1 sprint race. Max Verstappen starts on pole position alongside Red Bull teammate Sergio Perez at a damp Red Bull ring in Spielberg. Valtteri Bottas gambling and losing big time by starting on the medium tyres and then pitting at the end of the formation lap. So that was dumb. Sergio Perez elbows his way ahead of Max Verstappen, then squeezes Max Verstappen onto the grass down the straight before Max block passes Sergio into turn 3. A move that cost Lando Norris 7 places as his McLaren enters anti-stall as he is slowed up behind the Red Bulls. Lap 2, Kevin Magnussen puts a good move around the outside of turn 6 on George Russell as his teammate Nico Hülkenberg runs second in the other Haas. Lap 5, Esteban Ocon slips past Charles Leclerc into 8th. Lap 9, George Russell fights past Kevin Magnussen into 11th. Lap 11, Lewis Hamilton gets past K-Mag after a good scrap as well. Lap 12, Sergio Perez takes second place off Nico Hülkenberg. Lando Norris and Charles Leclerc have a good scrap further behind. Lap 13, Carlos Sainz picks off Nico Hülkenberg for third, who is losing traction badly on his intermediate tyres. Lap 16, Charles Leclerc makes a mistake in the final corner and Lando Norris passes him for 9th, whilst George Russell pits for slick tyres. Lap 18, Nico Hülkenberg and Lewis Hamilton gamble for slick tyres. Lap 21, Hamilton, Bottas, Albon and Leclerc have a good battle. Lando Norris gets past Nico Hülkenberg for 7th. Hamilton passes Alex Albon for 11th. George Russell gets past Pierre Gasly for 9th. Nico Hülkenberg on lap 23 passes Lando Norris for 8th. And Esteban Ocon for 7th. Lap 24, George Russell passes Lando Norris for 8th and the final point in the sprint race. Nico Hülkenberg beats Esteban Ocon to the line by the length of his nose cone. And Max Verstappen wins the F1 sprint race from Sergio Perez and Carlos Sainz.
Nice one. Should we have a little chat about that before we move to the next?
Well, I didn't watch the sprint race,
okay.
so I missed out on that. But judging by how you guys were saying,
It was good.
It was good.
Yeah.
It was really good.
I think the weather played a part, but yeah, it was entertaining, yeah.
It certainly did. I was certainly a little ticked off because I felt like Williams left a little bit of money on the table because they were running inside the top 8 and that rain came for the last few laps and they were one of the cars that decided to pit for the slicks and it just made them drop and no one actually even really catched those top 6-7 cars that stayed in the Inters other than George, but he only really got to the end of it. So I was like, I don't know why they really made that call. I felt like he could have held off.
yeah, well,
It seemed like.
apparently
There's a lot of tyre degradation, though. Like,
Yeah, but it
a
did
lot
look,
of them
even
were
from
dropping
watching,
off.
I was like, it's not really worth it for cars like him. Like, it was worth it for cars like Russell, who were back in like 14th, 13th.
Yeah.
They could take the shot. But Albon was sitting in like 6.
Yeah.
And I was just like, there's only like, 6, 7 laps to go. Like, there was too much time I thought they had to make up. I mean, yeah, like if there was more laps, 100%, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
It might have been more worthwhile if they'd seen one of the top 6 drivers or the top 5 drivers pit. Then go, right, well, if they're pitting,
yeah,
I need to do that
Maybe
too.
I need to too, yeah. But he was the highest, like, on the highest in position driver to pit, and I just felt like, it wasn't the right call. And it dropped him back, and that was it. So, because I felt, there would have been a couple points, which is a lot for Williams, like, that's...
Yeah, it's huge, especially down the bottom end of the table.
Yeah, that's it. I don't get to talk about a lot when it comes to Williams and fighting for things, so a couple of points is like a podium finish for us these days. So
absolutely.
Yeah, I reckon they left a little bit of as I said,
a little bit of money on the table.
Money on the table, but it was a great sprint race. George Russell, but picked the strategy perfect to come back up. He was the first one to say, "Yeah, I'm going on slicks." It was dry, and made him to move up from 14th into the points. So.
Yeah, like the crossover point was there.
Yeah,
but it was probably needed another 10 laps.
Oh, 10 laps,
to make it work.
Well, they all would have had to pit if it was 10 laps.
Yeah. Like the guys that did pit for slicks, it wasn't completely unreasonable.
No, but
the crossover was happening, but it wasn't happening fast enough.
Not for the top guys, if that makes sense. Like, it made sense for the guys trying to chase them.
Yeah.
To go with that strategy, but like I said, guys that were sitting pretty in the points were kind of like, there's not enough laps for these guys to catch us.
Yeah.
As long as we can keep this steady pace, it's not like they were catching them at 5 to 10 seconds a lap.
No.
Even when George went on the slicks for the longest time, Max Verstappen was still on the inters, still posting, even though the slicks were the right tire on, he was still posting comparable lap times. Like, he was still beating George. So. Yeah. I don't know, sometimes I find it funny, like they've got all these simulations and they run all these strategies and they run all these things and they get it wrong so often, and sometimes I'm sitting there at home going, I wouldn't have done that, and I've got nothing in front of me other than watching the race.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, well, why did they do that? And I go, what? How do they reach these strategy calls sometimes,
Well, I think it's a case of you can have all the technology in the world.
But your instinct's probably the better one to go
sometimes. Yeah, that's right. Your driver is the guy on the road.
Yeah.
They're the one that's connected to the car that's connected to the road. They're the ones that can tell you the most of what's going on. Yeah. As we can tell with Ferrari.
Yeah, I feel like it's almost like they got too many simulations. They got too many... Like, it's almost they've got too much in front of them that it leaves more room for error. Rather, if you leave it just to sort of your knowledge and experience and making a call on your instinct... with a little bit of information in front of you, just enough that you need to know, I feel like you honestly would do better.
Yeah.
Because like we said, like with Ferrari every week, it's like they're confused on what their strategy is going to be. And I get it, you've got to, change things on the fly as things change, but...
Well, I mean, we joke about how they ask the drivers, what do you think? But the flip side of the coin is they acknowledge the fact that the driver is the guy who's on the road.
Yeah, it's definitely the right move to incorporate your driver into the decision. Like, you definitely want to be asking him. I think Ferrari just make themselves sound stupid about it. Like, Christian Horner does it the right way. And it's all he's essentially doing the same thing as Ferrari, I think, but he just asks it in a different way. Like, they do know what they're doing, but they're asking for his input, where Ferrari's just like, what do you think we should do?
I don't know. You've got the telemetry.
Yeah, that's right. That's what happens. Whereas
tell me.
Christian Horner's sort of like, do you think it's still a slick race? And gives him a question to answer back instead of just going, what do you think on everything, Max? Like,
tell me your philosophy.
Yeah, tell me what's the strategy, Max. And, Max like, I'm driving. To be fair, Max would probably be able to tell him, but he's that smart. But
all right, now we're going to move on to the F2 results.
Oh, F2, that's me.
Yes,
I better get them up. I better be ready.
Yeah, we'll just stall for a couple of seconds.
Talk some jib-jab.
How good was Australia in the cricket? Hey, is there any Poms listening? Hey, we didn't cheat.
Hey, Basto.
He left his crease.
Stay at the crease, mate.
Yeah. Not even under 12s make that fucking mistake, you idiot.
All right, the F2. Now, to add to an already great... this is definitely, to me, the best weekend of racing we've had all year by hands down.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hands down. Every session was excellent. Qualifying was good. F2 was good. obviously F1 is good, and we'll get to more of that. But to get to the F2, I only got to see the highlights of the sprint, but it was awesome for what I could see. Jack Crawford took that out for his first win, the American's first ever win.
Good on him.
Victor Markins came second, and Isaac Hadjar rounded out the podium places, with Australian Jack Doohan finishing in the points in 7th. Then we moved to the feature race, which I did get to watch, and again, to add to it was a great race. Just plenty of overtaking, plenty of battles. There was so many. This track was so good to be at a proper track. It's so good. Just the racing was there. There was battles all up and down the grid in the F2 as well as the F1. 4-car battles. Not just 1v1. We're talking 4-car battles. For example, on lap 37, so right at the end of the race, it was only a 41 lap race. There was a 4-car battle for first. It's good stuff to watch. So, just a little bit in the feature race. Like I said, pretty contested, pretty interesting watch. In lap 28, after a pit stop, after Leclerc, as again, always in the bad luck, his tyre came off after not being put on properly.
Jesus.
So, yeah, basically, tyre wasn't put on. He'd come around the first corner and off it went. Which started the interesting part of the second half of this race, as they brought out the safety car. So that a bunch of cars were running alternative strategy, so it gave them the cheap pit stop and get on fresh tyres to give an advantage to catch the leaders. And then lap 33, we got another Kush Marnie and Hauger touched tyres on the straight, giving Marnie a puncture and bringing out the virtual safety car. So again, sort of slowed down the pack and just kept This is what led interesting to the 4-car battle. It was Richard Forshaw, Ayumi Iwasa, Frederick Vesti, and Jack Doohan. Vesti was leading with Doohan in second, and they were, at this point, clear deserved 1-2s. But because of all the safety car nonsense, it allowed Iwasa and Forshaw, who weren't running in the run for anything, the chance to get on the right tyre strategy at the right time. So they got on the softs, the super softs. So F2's got the super softs. So they got on the super softs while Doohan and Vesti were running old softs. So basically, once we got back on lap 47, it was a great battle between the four of them. But yeah, they took away, and Richard Forshaw took the win. So another Dutchman. It was an all Dutch affair.
It's been a very good weekend for orange people.
Great. There's lots of orange flares going. So he took the win with Ayumi Iwasa coming in second. Frederick Vesti, the championship leader, came in third. Jack Doohan came in fourth. Oliver Behrman in fifth. Enzo Fittipaldi in sixth. Teo Pourchaire came in seventh. Jack Crawford, who won the sprint race, came in eighth. Victor Martins, who had pole in this race and only got ninth. And Jay Handaruvula rounded out the points in 10th. And that is the F2 report.
You said a driver named Iwasa.
Yes, Japanese driver.
He's part of the Red Bull program, isn't he?
He is, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because we'll get to a bit later, but his name comes up. Right.
Ooh.
Okay, well, that's the F2 report.
That's that, yep.
So now we're going to go over to the F1 report with JB.
Yes, the main event of the evening.
And we're going to put in a provisor here because it happens so often. I think JB got sick of writing down who got penalised for track limits.
Did. I didn't even finish writing down everybody.
There's no point, yeah.
I got to about lap 30-something, and I'm like, you know what? Don't worry about it.
I mean, most people, if you listen to this, have probably already watched the race, so you know yourself how many there was, so you can see why JB gave up.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
All right, 2023 Austrian Grand Prix, the Van Ostrich, whatever the hell it's called.
Grosser von Ostrich.
Grosser von Ostrich. I don't know who he is or what it is, but...
Grosser von Ostrica.
Yeah, something like that. The Grand Prix of Austria.
Ostrica. Wasn't he in American Pie? Wasn't he the character in Austria?
Maybe.
Ostrica?
Ostrica? No idea.
Because he dates the choir chick.
I don't know. I haven't watched American Pie in years.
They've been playing them on Foxtel, mate.
Yeah, I know. They're always a good rewatch. Yeah. All right. Austrian Grand Prix.
Yes.
Lap 1. Max Verstappen starts on pole position alongside Charles Leclerc. Max Verstappen holds off Charles Leclerc despite Charles's best efforts. Yuki Tsunoda hits the rear of Esteban Ocon, breaking his front wing. He then overcooks it into turn 6 and gets into the gravel, triggering a safety car, but Yuki does continue. Lap 7, Lando Norris notes that Lewis Hamilton is running wide and exceeding track limits. That becomes a theme. Lap 10, Sergio Perez muscles past George Russell for 11th with a forceful move. Lap 12, Lewis Hamilton has a lap time deleted for exceeding track limits and then is handed a black and white flag, noting his final warning as Lewis complains to Mercedes that the car is slow. Lap 14, Nico Hülkenberg pulls off to the side of the track after his pit stop, the engine clunking out in his Haas, triggering a virtual safety car and a slew of pit stops. Lap 15, Yuki Tsunoda gets a black and white flag for track limits. Lap 17, Kevin Magnussen gets past Valtteri Bottas, who has wing damage. Meanwhile, Carlos Sainz is airing his grievances with Ferrari strategy. Lewis Hamilton is handed a 5-second time penalty for track limits. Lap 20, Carlos Sainz passes Lewis Hamilton for 4th as Lewis complains about the braking performance of his Mercedes. So first he was saying it wasn't going fast, and now he's saying it's not stopping. Lap 21, Carlos Sainz passes Sergio Perez for 3rd as Sergio goes long on his first stint. Lap 23, Carlos Sainz is given a black and white flag for track limits. Lap 24, Oscar Piastri is forced to pit for front wing damage after being checked up by Lance Stroll and Kevin Magnussen. Lap 25, Max Verstappen pits for hard tyres, dropping behind both Ferraris and losing the lead of the race for the first time in 249 consecutive laps. He has led a Formula One race since Miami. Esteban Ocon is given a 5-second time penalty for track limits. Sergio Perez finally stops for medium tyres. Lap 26, Max Verstappen fights past Carlos Sainz for 2nd. Lap 30, Carlos Sainz is given a 5-second time penalty for track limits. Lando Norris gets past Lewis Hamilton for 4th. Yuki Tsunoda is under investigation for failing to serve his initial 5-second time penalty correctly. Lap 33, Lando Norris is warned by his team about track limits as more drivers are given black and white flags for it. Lap 35, Max Verstappen passes Charles Leclerc for the lead of the Grand Prix, wisely utilising the DRS line. Nick de Vries pushes Kevin Magnussen off the track. Alex Albon is handed a 5-second time penalty for track limits.
Boo.
Lap 39, Nick de Vries is handed a 5-second time penalty for forcing Kevin Magnussen off the track. Lap 42, Sergio Perez passes Alonso for 5th. Pierre Gasly is handed a 5-second time penalty for track limits. Lap 45, Lando Norris dives under Pierre Gasly for 6th. Lap 47, Carlos Sainz passes Lando Norris for 4th. Lap 50, Max Verstappen pits for a set of medium tyres. Lap 54, Yuki Tsunoda is handed an additional 10-second time penalty for track limits. Lap 56, Lando Norris locks a brake and hands Sergio Perez 4th place. Lap 62, Sergio Perez overtakes Carlos Sainz after a 3-lap side-by-side battle for 3rd. Lap 70, Max Verstappen boxes on the penultimate lap for a shot at the fastest lap point. Lap 71, Max Verstappen wins the Austrian Grand Prix from Charles Leclerc and Sergio Perez. Max Verstappen gets fastest lap. Lando Norris gets driver of the day.
Now, they had put up their initial results after the race. And then when I woke up this morning, it had all changed due to a whole bunch of penalties. So you had Max Verstappen won the race, Charles Leclerc was 2nd, Sergio Perez was 3rd. Then in the ratified changes, Lando Norris is now 4th, Fernando Alonso is now 5th, Carlos Sainz is 6th, George Russell is 7th, Lewis Hamilton is 8th, Lance Stroll is 9th, and Pierre Gasly is 10th. Now, this is the absolute absurdity of what happened afterwards. We're going to get more into the track limits in a couple of minutes, but drivers who had track limit penalties post-race.
And we're talking like 8 hours later.
Carlos Sainz had 10 seconds put on him Lewis Hamilton had 10 seconds put on him. Pierre Gasly had 10 seconds put on him. Albon had 10 seconds put on him.
Jesus.
Esteban Ocon had 30 seconds put on him.
Jesus Christ.
Sogan Largent, he had 10 seconds put on him. Nick De Vries had 15 seconds put on him. And Yuki Tsunoda had an additional 10 seconds put on him.
Jesus Christ.
Wow, what a day at the office.
All because Aston Martin cracked up.
Yes, Aston Martin decided that the FIA hadn't done their job in handing out time penalties correctly. So the stewards had to go and look over every single one of the 147 track violations.
Yeah.
I think there was 147 of them in total across the whole race, and they had to apply penalties to every one of them, or every fourth one.
And so they should have. Aston Martin were in the right, in my opinion.
Well, there was one driver who I think actually should have gotten penalties, and that was Perez. Because he was doing it a lot, and he managed to sneak away. He didn't get it.
I'm sure they
not
looked.
getting any? That's what. Yeah, they must have.
They had to have looked.
I'm assuming, right, the way they would do it, right, is every sensor they had, they would have gone back and looked at the camera angle of the car at that section.
Yeah.
And as simple as we've got the technology now to see exactly where those tyres were. They would have zoomed in and gone, either, tick, yay or nay, move on to the next. Like, it surely shouldn't have been, with all the technology we've got, it shouldn't have been that hard to figure it out.
No.
Like all the.
I mean, they've gone through and they've booked like 8 guys.
Yeah.
So surely Sergio got looked at.
Yeah, he must, and I'm guessing he must have.
He must have just got away with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just that was absurd.
I know Lando Norris was down to his last one,
Yeah, black and white.
but he got away with it.
Well, my key drivers. My first key driver was Fernando Alonso. He drove a quiet race, kept it in the lines.
Yeah, he's probably one of the few.
That's the main thing about this race, keeping it in the lines.
Yeah, well, Max kept it in the lines. My next key driver, Charles Leclerc, he kept it in the lines. For a few laps there, he put up a really good fight against Verstappen.
Yeah, he did.
Did what he could.
He did. There were a few really good battles today. Like, really good battles.
I think Albon did really well again. He's another key driver.
Other than his penalties, yeah, he was good.
But for me, the biggest key driver was Lando Norris.
Yeah, he drove his ass off.
Awesome driver.
He had a good weekend. Like, he qualified third.
He loves this track, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, he really loves Austria.
And I think having the upgraded McLaren helped him out.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, new side pods.
But overall, I think the race itself was just spot on. Like,
Yeah.
It was what we needed.
It was the best race of the year. We said it.
For sure.
Like, it was the best race of the year. It was, despite all the penalties and all the bullshit, it was entertaining as hell.
Well, what's your thoughts on all the penalties and that? Are you for them? As in, like, the rules?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The rules are the rules, mate. Like,
that's it, yeah.
That's why they've got the painted lines, mate.
Yeah. But they're hamstrung by what they can do. Like, the drivers want them to put the gravel traps in.
Yep.
But they can't because it's also used as a MotoGP track.
Yeah.
So, I think they
MotoGP uses the same rules, too. Where the line is and where the green on the outside of the line is, they use the same rules for turn 10, the same corner.
I just think they just need to make the corner wider. And just sort of move it over more.
No, if you make the corner wider, then they're going to take it,
but wider.
They're going to take it faster.
Yeah, that's it. At the end of the day, the rule's there, so you just have to not, like, you take the risk. Like, the skilled drivers like Verstappen are able to take it and get it right every time.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you get the penalty. I think that's completely fair.
Or the only other way they can do it is if they put up a temporary barrier on the outside of the corner.
So you hit a wall.
Yeah.
Tyre spikes.
Yeah.
A couple of landmines.
Landmines.
Yeah.
Maybe a tarp with some dishwashing soap or something out there.
dog poo.
Yeah.
You run over dog poo. Your car stinks for the rest of the race.
Couple of banana peels.
Couple of Mario Kart banana peels.
Yeah, green shell.
Yeah.
A green shell. You get hit with a green shell. Yeah,
Now, one of those, those torpedo things with the face, they go shh, and they come out in the chain, and then they come back. Those dog things, they go, ruh, 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 and they come back.
The sensor goes off, the big dog thing
comes
runs
out.
out at you.
Yeah, it's my dog Kiki chasing me. Yeah, look, the penalties.
They know where the lines are.
Yeah, but the penalties were absurd this time. Like, it's really.
They're
getting
just
out
enforcing the rules. Fernando
Oh
Alonso.
yeah.
Max was fine. Fernando was fine. Lando was.
Charles Leclerc was
okay.
fine.
Yeah.
Drivers did 70 laps without, getting a penalty for it. It can be done.
100%, yeah.
It can be done.
Well, I mean,
it's just drivers were careless.
During the race, there was over 100. I think it was 140 or 138 or something penalties or
Incidents.
involving track limits.
They just need to be able to dish it out during the race.
It's hard though.
And
How
then
can they not have like a bunch of people that literally just focus on?
Well,
Like
they
it's really
do.
one corner.
They
Like,
do,
they
but
do.
when there's 147 of them,
Yeah. But I
there's-
mean,
if you've got multiple people, it makes light work, does it not?
Even during qualifying on Friday, like they had, I think, 40 or 30 track laps deleted because of the track limits.
I mean, surely, right? Tell me if this sounds too out there, because again, I'm not there, right? But you have a guy, you sit him at a screen, right?
Yeah, they have that.
Okay, so guy's sitting at the screen,
illogical.
right? And
Shut up.
you have other guys looking after more important pressing needs. You have like a couple of guys that's like, hey, your job is when the sensor goes off, it pops up on your screen and it shows you that corner, and you just got to watch back the feed. Tells you the car, tells you the what off. Just tell me if it went over the line.
Yeah, was his wheels in the
Here's the
track?
mouse. You can zoom in if you need,
Yeah.
because it's 2023. We can probably do that stuff now.
Yes.
Sensor goes off. Bing, 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 bing. Oh, okay, great. Okay.
Go down to Karun.
click
Go
to-
down to Karun Chandok at the Sky Pad.
click on.
Go tell him to fucking click on that corner for a sec.
Click on that corner. Zoom in.
Yeah, no, they had one guy looking at that corner all friggin' day.
Yeah. Like,
But
That's a
because
busy man.
because it happens so often, he's busy trying to get the previous one before the next one.
but what he does, right, is he looks right. He's got a big sheet in front of him of every driver's name, written in texter.
Written in crayon.
Max Verstappen, Sergio, like just written like that. Left-handed, just
King crayon.
big crayon. And all he has to do is any time they've gone over, he just puts an X,
Telemark.
and he hands that to another guy. Reads that, and then passes that on, and it gets to 3. They go, oh, you got to give this guy a black and white flag. So then the main race director's like, okay, black and white flag. I've had my team look at it. I didn't have to look at it because I got a team that I trust here to look at it. Like,
Yeah. Look, it's not. I'm not complaining about the stewards. I think they did their job.
they did. It takes so much
driver,
time.
the drivers. They know what the fucking limit is. They know where the line is, and here they are, just skate on over again and again. And what's even worse?
It's the bloody whinging.
The whinging. Hamilton and bloody Perez were the worst for it. He's gone over the line. Why am I getting penalised? He is it.
Have they given you the other drivers the penalty yet?
Like, shut up.
We're working on it. And they did.
Yeah,
8 drivers got penalised after the race, not including the ones that were already penalised in the race.
8 hours later.
Including you, Lewis, so shut the hell up.
Yeah.
He's the biggest whinger of them all. As soon as it doesn't go his way, hey.
Always
just-
has been.
Like, he was sitting there whinging about the car, and Toto had to get on there and say, we know the car is bad.
Yeah.
Drive the car.
We know it's bad. You're in 8th.
Sorry,
That's
it's
not where we
not-
want to be either, dickhead.
That's it, hey. We didn't do it on purpose. Like,
Yeah.
It kind of leads me to think that Lewis isn't going to sign. I think Lewis will
Where's he going to go, though? Take up the Ferrari offer?
he'll just retire.
After
He'll
his
just
year?
retire. You know?
No. Mercedes got an upgrade package coming for Silverstone.
If that
A big
doesn't
one.
work, though.
Yeah, if that doesn't work, they're fucked.
I have a feeling it will.
Yeah.
The thing is, they're never catching the Red Bull.
No, they're not going to
No
catch.
one's catching the Red
They won't
Bulls.
catch them this year or next year.
I mean,
Well,
what has the coat like the balls on him to Max to just be like, oh, I'm 24 seconds ahead. Yeah, pit me for a fastest lap. Like just to rub salt into the wound of everyone else on that. Like, we're so much better than you. I'm just going to casually pull in, change tyres, take the risk, and get
still came
fastest
out
lap.
like 7 seconds ahead of
I'm
Charlotte.
only over 100 points ahead of all of you, like hundreds of points ahead. I'm going to get that one extra point because fuck you. Fuck every one of you on the grid. Like, Max is just sitting there.
That's
pointing at
exactly.
everyone, just, fuck you and fuck you. I am so much better.
Yeah.
And good on it.
Good on him. That's exactly what. That's what champions do, man.
That's it.
All the other drivers are like, "What's your name?" And he just turns around and goes, "Fuck you.
Yeah.
That is my name."
It's just that meme with the podium for third, but Max Verstappen's actually on top,
Yeah, he's
flipping
just-
everyone off, kissing all the girls.
He's just being Ric Flair about it. But Red Bull's already started work on next year's car.
That's scary.
That's very scary.
They're like skating off into the distance,
My
going, "Yeah,
job
we'll
here's
see
done."
you next
Yeah.
year." Thank
Before
you,
the end of
bye.
the year, they'll be working on the 2025 car. That's how ahead they'll
Yeah,
be.
yeah. It's very 2002 Ferrari. Like, just skating off into the distance, just going, "Yep, we're working on next year's car. See you later. Thank you, fuck you, bye."
It's very Mercedes dominance era.
All right.
Yes.
Well, we've had our rant about this. Let's move on to the next news item. Next news item is Bridgestone has submitted their bid to become F1's tyre supplier.
Yay.
Cool. So, like, this isn't going to be a tyre war again. It's just going to be
No.
the actual tyre.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool.
I'm not against it, but Pirelli really haven't done anything wrong.
Yeah, but they haven't done anything great either.
They gave us the exploding tyres of 2013.
Oh, yeah, that was amazing. But
That nearly fucking red flagged Silverstone. Nearly got the race cancelled.
yeah, true.
That's impressive.
Well, if I would like to see a tyre war
I would too.
again.
Yeah, it needs something to...
Because overall,
Throw some jeopardy in.
the sport needs something, because we can't just keep going the way it is. Because we've reverted back to, 2019 or 2018 or whenever the fuck it was, of Mercedes dominance.
2017, 2018,
2015.
2020 was a pretty big one too.
2020, 2015.
It's just the same old thing again. So
We
if
definitely need to throw some more jeopardy in there, or we really do need to go to basically like a complete stock series where it just does come down to the driver and strategy and setup on the day.
But I have no problem with Bridgestone chucking in a bid and saying, "Hey, we're keen."
They were the tyre supplier for a while.
Yeah, in the mid '90s to
2011? No, it
Yeah.
was later than that.
Yeah,
When,
it's
when did
20
they start running Pirellis?
2011.
Yeah, it must have been 2011. Yeah.
I mean, it's like Johnny said, probably haven't really done anything right, but they haven't blown us away. But how can you blow us away as a tyre supplier?
Here's the thing: is that Pirelli have always said we were told to make the tyres rubbish for the show.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was Bernie Ecclestone's mandate: make the tyres hit the cliff and just fall apart.
Yeah,
for the sake of making the show
more exciting.
more exciting. So I don't think.
But we're still having one-stop races. So
I
they actually got told to make the 18-inch tyres more durable. They were worried about it. They're like,
I think they need to make them as burn out as fast as possible.
As quick as.
Yeah.
there's
Well, why
no,
don't
there's
they
no
just make
comp.
it all you can race
there's-
on is the softs or
Yeah,
wets?
there's no compounds anymore.
Yeah, just
Go
super
back
softs.
to the 90s where it's one dry, one on wet tyre,
That's it.
and you have to choose between when you want to put the wet on. It has to be super wet for the wet to work, so you're going to be driving on slicks in the rain, which isn't dangerous at all.
I'm for it. I think honestly, there's too much with the tyres, like soft, medium, hard. I'd rather simplify it, in my opinion.
I mean, before the tyre war happened, when I think Goodyear was the main tyre supplier and then Bridgestone came in. But when it was like that back in the 90s, the whole emphasis was on the fuel strategy. You hardly heard anything about tyres.
Yeah.
Or tyre this or tyre that. So I think because we don't have the fuel strategy,
Yeah, they want tyres to be that fuel strategy
Yeah.
issue. Yeah,
and we're just sort of looking for something to blame for the racing not being what it used to be. and pointing our finger at Pirelli and the tyres and going, "Oh, it's Pirelli's fault."
We're definitely trying to show that the tyres are the biggest strategy call you've got to make, but it's just not really that big. It really doesn't add that much, the whole tyre thing, unless the only way it adds a difference is if you get a safety car, which it all comes down to luck.
Yeah.
And you get to pit for the right compound at the right time. Like, it's the only time it works. On a normal race where you don't have any weather or crash interference, it just means you either start with, it really doesn't add anything. Everyone's still stopping the same amount of times most of the time.
Yeah.
It's just sometimes one car might start with a hard and finish on a medium or a soft, and the other cars do the opposite. It really doesn't change anything in the long run.
Yeah, the
the
tyre
days.
strategy shouldn't be the be-all, end-all to decide races.
No, because it's just not that. It doesn't change that much compared to, say, like you were saying, with the fuel.
Compared to tyres and fuel.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
All right. Moving right along, High Tech GP has confirmed that they have submitted an application to the FIA to join the Formula One grid in 2026.
Interesting.
Well, they know what they're doing. They're a Formula 2 team, so...
Well, if they keep that livery, absolutely. It'd be nice to see a black and silver car on the grid, because McLaren sure ain't fucking doing that.
No, we're sticking with papaya for a while.
It's, it'll be interesting.
Well, Audi will probably be close to that colour, won't they? Audi's going to be a silver?
They'll be black and red, maybe.
Black and red?
No, they're going to be silver and orange.
Really?
Like that fluoro red.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But,
Well, look, as long as they make it onto the grid,
yeah, well.
unlike Andretti and fucking whoever else.
Well, I mean, if they're going to lose money, they might as well lose money on the big roulette table.
That's it, eh? That's it.
You know,
That's
because
right.
they're a GP2 team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or an F2 team, sorry.
Yeah.
But, so, I mean, making the step up.
It's a fair bit of money difference, I'd imagine, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but, I mean, you can sit there and be an F2 team from now until...
You made the perfect analogy. Why not go to the big, go play with the big boys?
Yeah,
If you're going to blow money, which you would be in Formula 2, you're still blowing a shit ton of money. You might as well blow it with the big rewards.
Are they affiliated with anyone in F2, though? Because you got some teams that run, like, a Red Bull livery and things like that.
And I believe so.
Okay.
You'd yeah, I don't think they'd be coming up as a B team to anyone. I don't believe.
No, I don't believe so.
Well, the only reason why I asked that is who's going to be their engine supplier.
Who's their engine supplier now? Actually, did Formula 2 have...
Formula 2 is a stock.
Yeah, they all run Renault. Mechachrome.
Maybe they'll just bring a Mechachrome engine with them.
Yeah.
Mechachrome is Renault.
Maybe they'll just bring an Alpine engine.
Yeah, they could do that. I think they'll probably go Mercedes. I mean, Mercedes will have excess engine.
So,
Only by
High Tech
one.
GP runs the Red Bull livery. They've got 2 Red Bull Academy drivers.
Rightio.
So maybe I don't know, would they come up and be, affiliated with Red Bull, or would they be their own team?
AlphaTauri. AlphaTauri.
Yeah, would they sell?
Well,
BetaTauri.
actually, it's funny you should bring that up. I was going to do that a little bit later, but next year AlphaTauri is no longer going to be called AlphaTauri.
They're going to be called Toro Rosso again.
Well, they haven't announced what they're going to be called, but I'd like to see them be called Toro Rosso again.
BetaTauri.
But
I'd like to see them sold to someone who is their own thing.
Well, here's the other thing, is that they've all but confirmed one of their current drivers is going at the end of the year. And both drivers are out of contract at the end of the year.
Well, we know who
Nick
it is.
de Vries.
Yeah, it'll be Nick de Vries. Because, Helmut Marko was high on him, but Christian Horner was like, no, I'm not high on him. And now he's...
When they got him in.
And when Helmut Marko's like, I should have listened to Christian over that.
Mm. I think they thought Nick de Vries was going to eventually step up to the big team. That's what they thought with him.
I think they hired him just because they needed someone in that chair, and they didn't have anyone else that they could put in there. But here's the $1 million question then: who do you think is going to be the driver lineup we'll call him Toro Rosso for the shits and giggles.
Mhm.
Who do you think is going to be the driver lineup at Toro Rosso next year?
I think it'll be Daniel Ricciardo and Yuki Tsunoda.
Yeah?
If I'm honest, I would like to see them just pull Nick De Vries and throw Daniel Ricciardo and give him the rest of the year to put pressure on Sergio Perez to start performing in his qualies, in his races, so he's not coming back from 15th. Slap Daniel in for the rest of the year, see how Daniel goes, see if he's still got it to even be in the top team. And next year, I'd just throw Liam Lawson in.
I'm not entirely sure that they'll put Daniel Ricciardo in there.
Not if they let De Vries run till the end of the year, I don't think. But if they pull him early, I think they might.
I don't think they're going to pull Nick De Vries early though, because I think they'll let him just run his course and just say, "No, we're not renewing your contract. You know, bye bye." I don't think Daniel Ricciardo is going to replace him. I think it's going to come down to Iwasa and Liam Lawson.
Right, yeah.
And for some reason, I've got this funny feeling that it's going to be Iwasa.
You reckon they'll have 2 Japanese drivers in there?
Yeah.
Ooh.
But, I mean, Yuki Tsunoda's not exactly setting the world on fire either.
He is the veteran guy in the team, though. And to be fair, if you look at, the bottom 10 drivers, he'd be in the top 3 this year. But
Yeah.
It's been a very poor bottom 10. You know, I'm not saying he's lighting the world on fire, but he's doing what he can with that car, in my opinion.
I think his problem is he gets angry real quick.
He's definitely a hothead.
Yeah,
You've gotta work
and
on
I
that.
think
but I mean, a lot of guys are like that.
I
Max
think
is like that.
It reflected in his driving in this race, though, in the first lap. Like, he went for moves that, like, when he outbraked himself on, turn 3?
He
being
did have a
aggressive-
broken wing, though.
He had a broken wing. And
That wasn't
to be
his fault.
What being aggressive is what you got to do, and it's what Red Bull
Oh,
wants.
yeah.
Like Yuki Tsunoda constantly has some of the most overtakes in the race. He constantly has that. Who else would do that if they were at the back there? Max Verstappen. So it's like the guy's got to go for it. It's like if he didn't go for it, we'd be like, oh, he's Nick De Vries. You know. So like sometimes being aggressive doesn't pay. Sometimes you stuff up.
Yeah.
And to be fair, most times he pulls it off. He's quite a good overtaker.
Oh, I mean, like,
you know?
his crack on the first corner, I thought that was a great crack, and I mean, it ended up with him smacking into the back of Ocon and losing his front wing and everything.
Yeah.
And then going into, what is it, turn 2?
Turn 3,
Turn
technically.
3?
I think, yeah.
Turn 3, going into turn 3, where he's actually putting a move on Perez.
Yeah.
Perez, of all people.
And that's what you kind of want to see, don't you? Like,
Yeah.
if this guy's bringing it to Perez,
But then you get turn 4, where he completely missed his braking point, and
I think, yeah, you're right. I was all fine with it up to that turn. That's where he probably should have realised, hey, I've lost quite a bit of my front wing here. Maybe I don't have the downforce to make this turn as fast as I want.
Just to correct you too, John, that's not why the safety car got brought out.
Was
The
it?
safety car was brought out because of all the debris from his front wing that was all over turn 1.
Yeah. Well, he still caused it.
Yeah, yeah. But, yeah, look, I don't see him getting any further in F1 beyond Toro Rosso.
I think he could maybe make Aston Martin if they were to ever cut Stroll. But I don't. To be fair, I think they might go a different route. But I agree with you. I think he'll be Gasly. He'll be stuck there until. Yeah. But I mean, what do you see happening?
He'll be he'll be a less talented Gasly though.
Yeah,
like
I suppose
he might end up at a high tech.
Yeah, yeah,
you know,
yeah. One of the new cars coming to the grid that wants a bit of a guy who's got some experience in F1.
But I don't see him in a Red Bull.
No, most likely not.
But,
I think they want him to get there. I think that's what they want from him. But, he's definitely nowhere near there.
And I don't think Daniel Ricciardo will lower himself to be in that team.
Do you think he ever makes the grid ever again, then?
He will, but this is going to be a big call. I think Daniel Ricciardo will end up at either Audi or Haas.
American, yeah.
You know, particularly Haas. I'm keep leaning towards Haas because, American market. He's over in America.
Yep.
But, he's not going to get into a mainline seat, like a top-tier seat.
Yeah, I feel the only way he gets in is essentially has to lower himself, which he's not wanting to do at the moment. So,
Yeah.
to me, the only way he'd get in would be that this AlphaTauri seat. If that becomes available to him, in my opinion, he has to take that. He has to throw himself in the ring. You're only as good. Unfortunately, the way F1 works is you're generally only as good as your last race. And we know Ricciardo's got talent; it hasn't gone anywhere. But unfortunately, the last bit of info on his CV isn't great. You know.
No.
So he needs to sort of throw himself in a bit more before he can just sit there and go, which we spoke about it all, but you can't just sort of command, I still deserve to be at the top. It's like you kind of had your shot up there and you stuffed around by moving. You made poor decisions. Unfortunately, that's what he's done. He's made poor decisions and now you've kind of got to reap what you sow.
Yeah.
Now you're lower on the list than you were. You're not the high-end demand Daniel anymore.
No.
Yeah, you're not the commodity you were.
Yeah.
No.
You know. We all, you're the commodity in terms of personality,
You'd be a great reserve driver,
which you are.
which you are.
Yeah.
But then, oddly enough, that brings me to my next news item, which is the person who's got his seat more in question than Nick de Vries is Sogan Largent.
100%. I'm glad you said his name correctly.
Yeah. They're talking about he might be dumped by Monza.
Yeah, he should be. They brought him in too early. It's quite simple.
He wasn't ready.
He wasn't ready. The talent coming through, I feel like we went through a bit of a golden patch of guys coming through F2 with your Clers, your Russells, these guys that are top drivers in the grid now, but still young. So I feel like Formula One is the in thing is to get the young, hot talent. Like we've just gone through this golden wave of guys, and now
We said it last year. We said it last year. There was no hot talent coming through last year.
There's none in there. In F2 this year, there is none in there.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, there's none in there. There's guys that are leading it. There was none last year, and Dragovic wiped the floor with most of them.
And he's not in F1.
Yeah, and he didn't get called up straight away. His best shot he got was a reserve driver seat.
Yep.
This year is even worse than. It's not even a Dragovic. There's just some guys that are going to be at the top. But I think Formula One has been expecting these guys to come through because we've been so lucky with them coming through the last few years.
I think the thing is, all the hot drivers that should be in F2 are in IndyCar, like Colton Herta, Pato O'Ward, Scott McLaughlin.
Yeah.
They're where the hot drivers are.
Yeah.
You know? And then you've got guys like a guy we're going to talk about in a couple of minutes named Shane Van Gisbergen. I mean, if someone said, hey, we're going to give Shane Van Gisbergen a shot in a Williams, I'd be like, holy Christ.
I'd be excited.
But
I'd give Scott McLaughlin a shot first.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's open wheel experience. Yeah.
Yeah. But, Shane Van Gisbergen has raced open...
but
wheels.
not recently.
No. But that's where the talent seems to be.
Yeah, Formula 2 is definitely run dry at the moment. I would be looking in IndyCar for guys at the moment. But to be honest, I feel like all the guys that are... I think they're sort of around at the moment. Like Robert Schwartzman, he's a guy for me who should be on the grid over guys like Logan Sargent. Mick Schumacher, he's a guy who should be on the grid over Logan Sargent.
Well,
he'll be back.
It's funny you should mention that because they're talking that Mick Schumacher is going to be the guy who replaces Logan Sargent.
And he 100% should. He 100% should.
He is a talented driver. It's just that Haas was a shitbox. And he couldn't crash it because if he crashed it, then he'd get blamed for taking more of Gene Haas's money. Yeah,
to be fair, when he crashed it, it was pretty fucking spectacular.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen a Formula car split in half twice now.
Well, I was just thinking, like, 2 weeks ago, we were talking about Porsche. We were talking about Porsche and how they wanted 50% of a team or whatever. Why Haas did not go with it? I mean, we sat there and batted on about Williams not going for it. Why Gene Haas and Gunther Steiner and the whole Haas team didn't go for that deal either is completely beyond me.
Yeah.
For all the battering on that Gunther Steiner goes on about Gene Haas and how Gene pays for it and everything, it's like, well, you got a way to sort of split the bill 50-50.
Yeah, you still got your name there.
And you're not doing it. Like, are you fucking retarded? Or do you just like having a whinge? Oh, fuck me dead.
Does seem like that.
But, Yeah, apparently Mick Schumacher is going to be the guy who replaces Logan Sargent.
I'm for it.
Yeah, I think so too. I think
Williams made the wrong move bringing him in because he wasn't ready. And, we're at a time where we need the best drivers to drag the team forward. Like, Albon's literally driving that car along, and behind him is Logan Sargent's a horse and carriage. Like, that's what he is to dragging this team along. And it's like...
Albon is just out driving the car.
Yeah,
Like,
he's
he
fantastic.
really is.
And we need to take advantage of the time we have him because the way he's driving... We're not going to improve the car quick enough to hold him. A bigger team is going to snap him up, and well-deservedly so.
I hope so.
But you need the next guy to be able to take his place. So you constantly need to be having the best talent in. And Sargent just wasn't that. And I feel like it's taken us back because now we've got to find another guy.
Well,
Mick Schumacher can be that guy.
I think he can, and that's why I'd 100% get him in. He's already got F1 experience.
Albon and Schumacher's a pretty good pairing.
yeah, and don't forget too, if Hamilton was going to retire at the end of the year, if I was Mercedes, I'd grab Albon and put him in that Mercedes.
For sure, I would. Yep.
Yeah, but I see the driver lineup of Albon and Mick Schumacher. That's a driver pairing.
That's a tasty driver pairing.
That is a tasty. That is a tasty bite right there.
That's going to help drive the team forward, so that when those guys do move on, the team is in a better place for the next guy to come in and not be in such a poor car. Hopefully, hopefully. They've helped develop that car and given us points to give us more money to grow this back into being competitive. Logan Sargent, he was never going to be competitive.
No.
I called it as soon as we named him. He's only in there because of his name, an American. And it just doesn't
because
work.
he was the only driver in the Williams Driver Academy.
Yeah, and that's a problem when you do that. You can't be doing that.
It's the opposite problem to what Red Bull has with their driver academy of just signing this person and that person.
They got too many that aren't good enough, so they put in. They've got so many, they're not even putting any of them in.
And then Williams signed
You're all
one
shit.
guy.
Yeah.
They're all shit.
And then Williams signs one guy, and he's shit because he was cheap.
Yeah, that's all it was. It was a cheap grab, American grab. And I think they misjudged the fact that no one's going to care that he's American or anything if he's no good.
Yeah.
No one cares.
No one gives a shit where he's from when he's 19.
Exactly. So, considering they could have got... apparently they did put an offer to Daniel Ricciardo. That would have been fantastic if we got someone like that in. But,
too proud.
Yeah, he was. He was.
All right. Next news item is that Austria is locked in until 2030.
Excellent.
Most brilliant.
Yep, absolutely. This is the best race we've had in a long time.
It's always a good race.
On a proper track. It's a great track to drive in the game. Just fun from top to bottom. And then when you get a weekend like what we've had where rain, it got wet.
Yep, it always throws it out. Makes it interesting.
Yep.
It's a beautiful plate. It's just... nice to look at. It makes you feel like you're at a track watching it in the beautiful place. You're like, I'm in.
There's overtaking.
There's
the DRS works. You've got it's just fun. It is a great track, and it deserves to stay on the calendar. And I'm glad to see it stick around until 2030.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think it's going to go anywhere.
Right. The next news item was Shane Van Gisbergen.
Yes.
First ever race in NASCAR, and he wins it.
Yes, Chicago Street Track.
pretty impressive.
Goes over there, almost puts it on pole, and then in a wet, dry race, just dominates. I think he got up to second and then dropped back to 18th, and then came all the way back through the field again and won the race. So that was awesome. First driver in 60 years to win on debut.
Yeah, just put on a clinic.
He came back from 18th to win it.
Yep.
That's incredible.
Yep, he drove the arse off that thing.
On a street track like that.
On a street track, yep.
Well, I remember Marcus Ambrose doing something kind of similar. Like, he didn't win a race, but when he was...
he won a few.
Yeah, but I mean, like, he didn't win his debut race.
No, he didn't win his debut race. We did win, and all his wins were on street tracks.
And the thing was, yeah, it was always street tracks. When it was an oval, he just shit the bed.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect to see Gizzy on an oval.
No.
Until he goes there full time.
But then it is a very different discipline too.
Incredibly different discipline. That's like Scotty McLaughlin in IndyCar. Awesome on road courses, but put him on an oval and he struggles a bit.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, is it like you said? It's definitely a different discipline. There's a different skill set to it.
Yeah, absolutely. But Shane made it look pretty easy.
Yeah.
Shane made it look pretty easy. I mean, I don't think you'll see the same out of him on an oval, on a Talladega or a Daytona, but on a street track, he's pretty handy apparently.
Yeah. All right, so well done, Shane Van Gisbergen.
Yes.
And the final news item was the crash at the IndyCar.
Yes.
Simon Pagenaud. What a crash.
A massive crash at Mid-Ohio.
I bet he was very happy he had that friggin' halo system.
Yes. Yeah, brake failure.
Yeah.
Failure at the fast kink, and he apparently his goal was to still try and make the corner, he said. He's like, I was going to see if I could still make the corner anyway. And then he wound up barrel rolling about 10 times. It was a brutal crash. The onboard camera is quite a wild ride.
Well, I showed it to my girlfriend yesterday, and she was just like, tell me he got out of that okay. And the next shot, it's him walking away, waving to the crowd, and she's just like, he is so lucky. And I think I said to her, no, that is modern safety in motorsport.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, all these haters sit there and say, oh, the halo's crap, makes the cars look crap, rah, 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 rah. Yeah, I'd rather the cars look like crap and a driver walk away than have another Jules Bianchi.
Another Bianchi, yeah.
I mean, we were still reminded that this week that despite all the safety features, it's still a dangerous sport, as we had a passing, unfortunately.
Yeah, young Danilo Van Toff. Let me look him up. Let me give the young man credit here.
Because that was endurance,
That was
wasn't it?
No, it was in an open wheel.
Oh, okay.
It was in an open wheel. Where are you, sir? Young
Racing in Spa.
Delano Van Hoff, young Dutchman, in the Freca open wheel. It's the European Formula, the open wheel, the Formula Europe at Spa in torrential rain, mind you, the same torrential rain that saw the race red flagged last year, and the same torrential rain that saw the race cancelled completely in 2021.
Because that was at Spa, wasn't it?
It was at Spa in torrential rain, and they restarted the race. And I think Danilo was 19th or something, and he basically had an identical crash to Ayrton Hubert. Went up by Rouge, was coming down Camel Straight, and just bounced back in the middle of the track. Got T-boned. So, again, that's the second fatal crash in the same spot, in the same way. As much as the halo does for front protection, the side protection is still an issue.
Yeah.
So sad. Not sure. I mean, there's calls again for Eau Rouge to be upgraded. I don't know what more you can do.
Yeah, that's the thing. At the end of the day, it's still just a dangerous sport. Like, we can change as much as we can, but these guys are driving at 300. Like these guys,
they reprofiled Eau Rouge.
Yeah.
Like, they reprofiled it. And this was actually past Eau Rouge. It was the top of Radion. And he's lost it further up the road than where Antoine Hubert lost it, but still.
Yeah.
I don't know what you do. Like, it's a dangerous... the race shouldn't have been restarted full stop.
Yeah.
But
the stewards changing tracks.
The stewards need to take responsibility for that one, actually, because...
I think if that was a current F1 race, they would have said, no, not happening.
There was a side-by-side. There was a side-by-side of the photo right before he crashed in the European race. And then the one beside it was Max Verstappen behind the safety car when they red flagged Spa last year for the same. And it was identical. It's just like, it's torrential. You can't see anything.
Well, in that, honestly, that his death comes down to the race stewards then.
Yeah, that's the race steward's fault. I'm not going to blame Spa for that.
No.
That's the race steward sending them out in unacceptable conditions.
Yeah.
In the same conditions that the FIA told the best drivers in the fastest cars in the world that you're not going out there.
Yeah. 20% risk.
That was way more.
That was
than 20.
more than 20%.
Yeah, that was diabolical. So, a young life lost and some responsibility.
Rest in peace, young man.
Yeah, rest in peace, young man. But some responsibility needs to be levelled at Formula Europe.
Well, they can't blame Michael Massey.
No, they can't blame. Someone's going to get blamed.
Actually, the race being not run at Spa was 2021.
Yes, but
So that was
last year there
Michael-
was
that
rain
was
too,
Mike-
wasn't there?
Yeah, but they still ran the race.
Yeah, but it was like torrential rain.
Yeah, they red
Behind
flagged it after so many laps.
Yeah, it was torrential. It was identical. It was identical conditions.
Because, the 2021 one was the one where
That's where Lando bit it going up Eau Rouge in qualifying.
That's where George Russell got a podium for Williams.
Yes.
And
They-
who was the race official?
Michael Massey.
Michael Massey.
And
Yeah,
everyone
my
gave him
point.
crap for that.
Yeah.
Everyone hung him out to dry for that. Everyone hated
Yeah,
him.
well, tell it to this fellow's
That's it.
family.
That's it.
Yeah.
Tell it to them. But the flip side of the coin is Simon Pagenaud got to walk away from his accident, which I know.
Good news.
That's the good news about that.
It's still a dangerous sport.
Yep, that's right.
There's two ways of going about it. Sometimes you're gonna walk away from big ones, and sometimes you're not.
That's the risk you take. It's
a
It's
dangerous.
like
It
every
says it on the
sport.
ticket.
yeah. It's like every
It says it
sport
on the
these days,
ticket.
you know.
Motorsport is dangerous.
We try and make everything safer, but at the end of the day, we all know the risks, and the guys that get to go into the ring get to be the gladiators, aka the Formula One drivers, the footy players, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's the reason they get compensated so much. It's the reason they're superstars, because there is a risk to them doing what they do.
Yep.
And that involves death, unfortunately. And,
Yeah.
I'm all for making everything safer, but sometimes you can't have your cake and eat it too at times,
Yeah.
You've got to recognise you are a gladiator going in. Like,
You're
the
a
risk.
fighter
That's why you
pilot,
come
mate.
away with glory at the end, and for a couple unfortunate people, which we don't want to see, but it is part of it, a few unfortunate people don't get to come away with glory. And
Yeah.
it's sad, but all we can do is do our best to make sure it doesn't happen, but you can't reform things. It's like, in AFL and NRL, I'm sure it's happening, and in contact sports, concussion's such a thing.
Yes.
Okay, we've come a long way with concussion. We understand it's a problem. But surely we've known for a long time you're hitting heads, it's not good, all of this.
Yeah.
We know the risk of the sport, and now we're trying to make everything so much softer. We're taking away from the sport is to protect these players. It's like, well, don't these guys know what it is? Like, they know what this sport is.
Well, if there was one sport that's gone through a safety revolution that has actually helped the sport, it's rugby union. 100 years ago, people were getting killed on the field, and they just scoop them up, scrape them off, cut the carcass away to out back and replace them with another player, and the game keeps going.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, it's a lot safer.
Yep.
It's still a hard-hitting
It's
game.
a hard game. They've even reformed the way they do scrums in rugby union now.
Yeah.
They're not engaging from like 5 metres back in a scrum. They actually have to be bound.
Yeah,
Before
they're
they
grabbing.
engage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's better than a rugby league scrum. They're pointless.
They're
those
pointless. Yes.
Yeah, take those things
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
But, I mean, NRL's had a bit of a reform on it. I do understand why.
Yeah. It had to happen.
Particularly seeing, I think, because rugby union doesn't quite have, like, the NRL premiership. They don't have the weekly...
No. Oh, they
Club
do.
games.
They do. It's just not on TV. It's on Stan Sport.
No.
It's hidden in the back corner. Even the internationals aren't on TV anymore.
Yeah.
But, I mean, even stuff like pro wrestling now.
Yeah.
It's,
That's
they've-
come a long way in terms
Yeah.
of concussion protocol.
Yeah, you can thank Chris Benoit for that one.
Yeah, well, look.
Yeah.
It took a tragedy
Yeah.
to reform the sport.
Yeah.
It took a tragedy to reform Formula One getting halos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And IndyCar getting aero screens. And, Simon Pagenaud's life was saved. And young Danilo's was not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's
There's lessons to be learnt. and we'll move
That's-
on.
the game.
I think it
Unfortunately.
just shows that the stewards need a bit of reform.
In those junior categories,
Yes.
yes, because that was
It makes you all think as well,
Horrendous.
like, as we were talking about that Spa that got cancelled, there was a big uproar, like, why couldn't we go to a race? Why couldn't we go race? And this is why.
there's your prime
Yeah.
You know,
example.
There-
this is why. And this makes you reflect and go, oh, maybe I shouldn't be, for all the people that complain sometimes, about them being too cautious. And don't get me wrong, I'm one of those people. Sometimes I do think, like, oh, come on, they can race in that, Sometimes we can be oversafe. But there is a reason at the end of the day, and this is why.
Well, I
Because you don't wanna-
literally said it on that podcast when we were sitting here talking about that race on that day, on that weekend. And like, oh, you want to know why they didn't go racing? Watch Lando Norris's crash in qualifying when he came up ready on.
Yeah.
And if his car goes back into the middle of the track and he gets T-boned at 300 kilometres an hour, because Lewis Hamilton was the main one bitching why they didn't go racing.
Yes.
No, and we said, well, Lewis, if you were the one that T-boned Lando Norris and killed him. And lo and behold, unfortunately, it's exactly what happened in exactly the same conditions in the European Formula Championship. We lost a life in that very incident, in that very scenario.
Yeah. All right,
Anyway.
Speaking of new scenarios, I'm going to hand it over to JB to do the driver standings.
It's not a new scenario. It's the same scenario it's been all year.
Well, no,
the
last few
same-
races I've done it.
No. I mean, in terms of the 2023 driver standings, it's the same scenario. Red Bull's Max Verstappen continues to lead the championship on 229 points. Red Bull teammate Sergio Perez in second, 148 points. Aston Martin's Fernando Alonso in third on 131 points. Mercedes' Lewis Hamilton in fourth on 106 points. Ferrari's Carlos Sainz in fifth on 82 points. Ferrari's Charles Leclerc in sixth on 72 points. Mercedes' George Russell in seventh on 72 points. Aston Martin's Lance Stroll in eighth on 44 points. Alpine's Esteban Ocon in ninth on 31 points. And McLaren's Lando Norris in 10th on 24 points.
And it actually saw Gasly drop out of the top 10. And Lance Stroll is in the top 10. But the biggest mover was George Russell. He's moved down below the Ferrari drivers now.
Yes,
Well,
he
he's
has
tied
dropped.
with Leclerc.
Leclerc has not had a good year.
Yeah. He won, he's just waiting for the car to get good.
He'd be waiting.
Yeah.
Wait until 2024.
But we don't have to wait on the team standings. We don't have to wait for Longhorn to read the team standings.
Oh, okay, I'm up. When are we going to call the Constructors' Championship?
About now.
About
About-
two
Are we
races
handing out the
ago.
medals yet? Or
About now.
popping the champagne? So, team standings. Red Bull Racing with a dominant lead with 377 points. Coming in second, we have Mercedes with 178 points. Is that them moving up to second?
Yes.
Just overtaking Aston Martin in third with 175 points. Or should I say Fernando Alonso, Aston Martin, with 175 points.
Hey, no. Oi. Lance Stroll's got 44 points. Thank you very much.
Oh, look out.
Yeah. You don't worry about Aston Martin. Worry about your team in ninth place, all right?
Oh, you're talking about the Alex Williams Albon.
Alexander Albon Williams.
Yeah.
He's got one of those hyphenated names.
That's it. In fourth, we've got Ferrari with 154 points. Ooh, pushing up into the challenge
they
there.
actually bagged a few points this race. So
Well, yeah, last two races, I think they've outscored Aston Martin and Mercedes by a fair bit over on aggregate. So
yeah, a couple of points.
yeah, they're pushing back up to that interesting battle for second, third, and fourth. And then we get to the rest, pretty much. We've got fifth with Alpine, down with 47 points, kind of just there on their own a little bit. McLaren are slowly catching them. Hopefully these upgrades might push them back into the battle with them. We might have the classic Alpine-McLaren battle we've seen. over the
Lando
last-
Norris McLaren. He's got 24 of those 29 points. He's on.
And then, in sixth, we've got McLaren with 29 points. In seventh, we have, is it Hulkenberg Haas? Is he the other one who's got the points for them? Haas with 11 points. In ninth, we've got Alfa Romeo.
That's eighth. They're eighth. with
Eighth,
9
sorry.
points.
Oh, they've got 9 points. Yep, I'm reading it wrong. This is why I don't get trusted to read things usually.
We handed it off to the wrong guy.
In ninth, we've got Alex Albon with 7 points. And in 10th, we've got AlphaTauri with 2 points.
Alex Albon with 7. He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
Yeah, you got Alpha Sonoda.
Yeah,
with 2
Yuki
points.
Tsunoda's got 2 points.
Max Verstappen's got like 270 of those points.
Yeah. He's literally beating every team on his own, isn't he?
He's
I'm
got
pretty sure.
229 of those 377
Yeah,
points.
he's
It's
literally
like
beating
Max.
every constructor.
Max Verstappen on his own is beating everybody constructor-wise. Max Verstappen has, what is it, 229?
229 points.
Max Verstappen has 229 points. Mercedes, as a company, have 178.
It's absurd.
That's fucked. Piss it in, Max. Piss it in.
He's just pissing into the wind.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just want to check something.
He's pissing
out
over
here.
the fence, that's for sure.
Yeah, so McLaren has taken a big bite out of
Alpine.
Alpine. After that,
that
yeah.
one.
Mercedes were second last time out too, so they've just stayed there.
Yeah, but Ferrari's taken a big munch out of both of them as well.
Yes.
Haas has jumped the Alfa Romeos. Look out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Big movers at the back.
Oh, big spenders.
That's those sprint race points.
Best of the shit.
See,
Yeah.
sprint races do count for something. For,
Yeah,
the,
but-
for the small teams, it does.
I
Well,
mean-
this is why I was angry that they stuffed up Albon's strategy in the sprint. They left money on the table. It could have been 2 points. They could be
You could be-
above Alfa Romeo right now.
You could be tied with Haas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a big difference. 8th and
It
6th.
is. It genuinely is.
All right. So, now we've got the social medias. If I can put together a sentence without dying.
That's one thing we got to work on as a podcast, is somehow working out how to be healthy boys for the podcast.
Well, I've got
I'm getting over it. I'm getting over
We're
it.
always sick.
I've gotten to the end of the podcast now, and my hay fever is like stopped.
Clearing up. Yeah.
Yeah.
It knows you don't need to talk in a microphone.
Yeah, it's just like you're
anymore.
done now. It's like I'm going to make you sound like the sickest man on the planet for as long as this podcast goes. But before it and after it, you're going to be fine.
You were fine when we got here and watched
I was
the race.
fine watching the race, and then
You
You
had
gotta-
pizza.
Yeah.
I
You had a pizza.
no,
That's
the
what the
pizza was
problem
fine.
was.
No, the pizza was fine, and then
It was
something
pizza.
triggered my hay fever, and then I sound like I'm dying every time I do a podcast. And now the podcast is ending, and I feel good again.
Well, just think, 2 days ago, I couldn't put together a sentence at all. So I've been yakking up
And now
crap
2 days
out of
later,
my. Yeah.
the
Been-
same thing.
I've been yakking up crap out of my lungs since last Saturday. Yeah, so it's been a hard fight. You know, I think my body's sitting there going, "Well, you've got to go to a wedding in a couple of days." Oh, you're not fucking about. You are actually going to the wedding. Oh shit! I might want to actually get better. So yeah,
I need to find me some antihistamines between now and then.
Yeah, in the chat, let us know how to be healthy. Send us a plan.
Yeah, does anyone got some good antihistamines that like work all the time?
I think you need one of those Vicks vapor drops, bloody lollies.
I've got my little inhaler in my pocket, which actually came in handy. I actually blasted that a couple of times during the podcast, so if it sounds like someone's doing a line of coke in the background,
Because he is.
they are.
Right, so our social medias, this is going to go up on YouTube on the Vindicator 18 channel, as well as it'll go up on the F1 Chat -1.
F1
Don't
dash
forget
one.
the one.
Don't forget the one on that one. We're on Facebook. If you go on the F1 Chat on Facebook,
Yes, I'll constantly be sharing our statuses.
and also as a side note, go and check out JB Sports Corner.
Yes,
For all your sports.
All your sports.
for all the stuff, for all of us beating England in the Ashes, and Shane Van Gisbergen winning NASCAR, and Simon Pagenaud nearly dying, and Denalio sadly actually dying.
We also have Twitter, which is the F1 Chat 1.
Yeah, don't forget the one, although I haven't been on there in a couple of weeks.
I tend to stay away from Twitter anyway. You know.
Blame Elon Musk. He's
Yeah,
ruining the platform.
The only time I get on Twitter is to send Vince McMahon abusive tweets about how he's fucked up his own company.
I sort of did that with Dana White for a little bit too, but
They both got the same boss now.
yeah, they're both owned by Endeavour now, and they're both just equally trash.
Yeah. God, you threw me off there. We're also on Rumble, the F1 Chat.
Yep.
And we are on the Spotify as the F1 Chat. So that was the Austrian F1.
Thanks for listening.
We got there. That was a battle.
Was.
That was a physically demanding battle from all of us. None of us could
I know
breathe.
it's hard being the gladiators, as we we're talking about.
Oh.
You know, you got to throw yourself in the ring. You know, it's the only way you come away with the glory, right?
Yeah, no guts, no glory.
That's right. Physical battles, and
Who dares wins.
none of us can even breathe properly. But you know,
We battle through.
For you guys, for your entertainment.
For your entertainment, for your likes, thumbs, subscriptions.
We know how much you love sniffling sounds in the microphone.
Yeah.
And coughing sounds. And
Yeah, just, it gives it that realism.
We know
sounds like you're walking through the emphysema ward of a fucking hospital.
Or
We
just
know
Mackay Base Hospital ER.
Yeah. Basically, if you just go stand out the front of the ER at the base hospital, you get the same treatment.
We know some of you enjoy your white noise machines to put on. Help your baby get to sleep. That's why we're here every race.
Nothing like the 3 a.m.
Putting them
rockabye baby.
Toddlers to sleep.
Through submission.
With rustly, sniffly
Toxic.
opinions.
Toxic. Just toxic.
Our bodies are as toxic as our opinions.
Speaking of opinions, though, the next race is actually next weekend.
Oh, dear.
It is Silverstone.
Hey, we're in the good races. This is the
I
exciting
don't,
time
I
of
don't know.
Formula
It's
One.
Silverstone. It's
Silverstone
like-
was my favourite race of last
Yeah,
year.
it was great.
Carlos Sainz won it, and it was an awesome race.
Yes.
I'll be back Sunday afternoon, so I should be okay to watch it.
Yes.
I'm probably going to miss qualifying, but
That's all right.
are they doing a sprint race in Silverstone? Like an actual F1 sprint race? I'm not sure they are.
Well,
they
if
might.
they are, you'll find out next week on the F1 chat.
Tune in next week to actually find out, because I genuinely don't know.
Cutting edge reporting here on the F1 chat.
Cutting edge reporting. I don't know, Jeff.
Chris Kamara right here.
Will the race be on a decent time for us to watch, or will it be another...
No, it should be about 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
okay. So,
But I'm still on holidays.
the worst time. Ah, nice.
Yeah, I'm not.
But we can
I'm back at work on Monday.
look. We can always watch the race. I mean, I might be exhausted getting back from Brisbane. So even if I have an early night Sunday, we just watch the race on
Don't tell
Monday.
me your excuses. We don't want to hear it. We just want you to be healthy so that you can do all the talking next
So
week.
you can get in the ring.
Get in the
luck.
ring.
Glory.
Get in there, Lewis.
Good luck.
Right. Speaking of next week, we will see you next week for the Silverstone F1. Until then, thank you for tuning in on behalf of JB, Longhorn, and myself. It is goodbye. Will you stop hitting the mic?
No,
You idiot. You blew the ending.
I didn't blow anything.
That's not true. Bye.